Welcome to Stars and Stripes. Our flag is the symbol of freedom and justice for all. Many brave Americans fought and died for this freedom. America was founded on Judeo-Christian principles. When we allow our Constitution to be destroyed and God is taken out of America, there is and can be no freedom.
Welcome to Stars and Stripes. I'm your host, Pastor Ken Jones. Again, part 2, we got Michael Karachun as my guest, and we're going to continue on the confirmation hearing of our country. With right now, let me introduce you to Michael Karachun. Again, Brother Mike, God bless you, sir.
Glad to be here, yeah. Yeah, in the last episode, we got interrupted midway in a thought, and as I recall where we left off that, I was saying that I knew everything in advance what was going to happen to Trump.
Right.
And I gave the background of the first election, after the election, now we got to get into the election.
Right.
And I was talking to my son and his friends. He did a lot of work in politics, and all the other people I knew, and I knew you guys here and everybody. And I kept telling everybody, I said, you know what I know from the beginning? I said, the only way Trump can win this now, and I said, he can win it. And next thing I know, Trump starts using the term. I said, it's got to be such a big turnout.
Right.
That is too big for them to be able to steal it.
That's right.
That's what I kept telling everybody. And then I heard Trump use that term, and I thought to myself, what are you doing, bugging my house? It's good. And the reason why I said that, I found information from the other side on how they were planning on stealing this election. Like they stole the second one. Everybody said they didn't steal. Yes, they did.
Yes, they did, right.
When you're able to predict in advance how something is going to happen based upon information, that validates the information.
Amen.
I was able to validate within a certain percentage range of where this election would come out in advance. They'll tell you that's impossible. Well, no, it's not impossible if you got the information. Well, the information I saw, the other side were saying in their document, I'm condensing it down now because it's it's a bigger document, that they could not control. You got to hear the language now. They could not control the percentage of votes this time like they did in the last election.
In 2020.
They had lost control, but they thought that they could control the outcome of about 10% of the vote. Now, when you see how the population is divided, and if they can shift 10% of the vote, you have got to have enough outpouring of your people big enough to overcome that.
Right.
So Trump kept saying, we got to have a turnout too big for them to be able to steal.
Exactly.
And still, look how close they came. When you really look at all the true numbers, they still came pretty close. When you actually really look at the numbers.
Right.
So if the people didn't wake up in time and go out, we'd have Kamala Harris right now.
That's right.
And so I have to thank God for this. I think God just woke up enough people saying, you better get out there or else I'm not going to be able to help you.
Right.
See, God, I'm not trying to get religious here, but if you read the Bible, He's the most common sense person you're ever going to know.
Thank you.
If you want something, you want a bad government, you want to be ruled by a bad government, you want to be mistreated, God's going to say, well, that's what you want, have at it. And don't come complaining to me about it.
That's right.
That's what you asked for.
That's what you got.
And that's what you got. Now you made your bed, now sleep in it. There's a place I think in Deuteronomy actually says that you made your bed, now sleep in it. So if the American people want a good government, you want to make this country rich, like Trump says, and all the ingredients are there for that. It's all here. But the people have to want it.
Thank you.
And the only way you can want it is we have to return back to the old values of what this country was built on.
We got to turn it back to God.
Got to turn back to God. And George Washington said this country cannot rule and exist without religion. And what he was referring to was the Christian religion, Christian Judeo principles that it's based on.
Yes.
And what's judicial, Christian judicial values? Well, this country inherited slavery.
That's
Everybody
right.
blames it on the white people. Let me tell you something. The white people were enslaved before they got here. That's the reason they came here. They were slaves.
One day we're gonna get into that because because people don't know that it was the Cushites, Hamites that started slavery in African nations. It was different. It was, and we taught the world about slavery. Okay, it was the Europeans that came to Africa and got slaves because the East Africans were selling slaves. Okay, they would capture them, they would have a tribal war and capture them, and they would sell them.
Well, I'm not trying to make this.
But anyway, that's another story.
I'm not trying to make this a slavery thing, but this country inherited it. Now, where does the Christian Judeo values come in at? When I took an oath, it was to the Constitution of the
Right.
United States, right? That's what I took an oath to. And what it stood for, against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Right.
So there are domestic enemies, we've been seeing them. And so, but the design of the Constitution, keep purposely, these people, you know, no chain is any stronger than its weak link. That one weak
Right.
link, you break the chain. These real smart globalists, actually they got other names, but that's the popular name nowadays. They looked at this country because they want to take it over. If you ever seen the documentation I've seen, they want to take the country over.
Right.
And there's a reason for it. That's another whole series that we get into, that they want to take it over. What's the weak link that we could divide everything to control the people? Slavery. It's a lie. I'm not saying that there was no slavery here, but the reasons for the slavery, the reasons for what is all. You take that, you take the real true history and you just twist it a little bit. And next thing you know, well, got white man against black man. You got Indians against everybody. You've got Chinese. Look at the history. You find out who wasn't enslaved in this country. And when you take it all that and you look at the root, you're going to find out it was these rich elite at the top. And they said, this is how we can control everything.
Exactly.
We keep people fighting among themselves, and it takes their eyes off of everything we're doing. And tell me if they have not been successful for that for the last 50, 60 years or so.
Divide and conquer.
Divide and conquer.
Martin Luther King, when I met him in '58, let me tell you something. This is one of the things he talked about. The reason why they had to assassinate him is because he was about to spill the beans on what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It was never about a black-white situation. It's always been economics, all the time. Slavery is about money, being in control. The Democratic Party had control of it because it started with the Ku Klux Klan. Everybody knows the story, but they don't want to talk about it.
I want to talk about it.
Okay, we know the story. From the Ku Klux Klan, you got the Democratic Party, you got the party of the people, and now you see the face of the Democratic Party now, not the Democrats, the Democratic Party has gone so far left back into slavery again.
Back to slavery again.
And that's the reason why they didn't win this time, because people are beginning to open their eyes and see, why would I have a Marxist running this country? Because that's what we were getting ready to get into.
Well, see, this is leading us to the confirmation hearings.
Yes.
When you look at all those that are trying to get confirmed, you see that every last one of them is going back saying we have to return to the Constitution.
Right.
We have to return to the founding principles.
Yes.
Well, if you do that, that means you got to look into everything that's gone wrong. Now you got to look into why Elon Musk has got to look into everything. So now you got to look into Kennedy. What does he want? He just wants honesty.
That's all.
In our medical, in all the industry that revolves around, which is God knows how many hundreds of billions of dollars. Okay. And so this is the reason why that you look at all the confirmation hearings. Anybody that's looking to go back to the principles of the Constitution of the United States and to what the founding fathers wanted and what we need to have to run this country and restore it, they are against it. So I knew that before the confirmation battle hearings begun, I told people, I said, you're going to see one of the most hellacious battles and things you see going on. They're going to put those people to the absolute grill to try and break them down. And between the rhinos and the Republican Party, somebody's going to have to ring in those rhinos. We had 3 rhinos right away, headed by Mitch McConnell. Right there. And these rhinos makes me wonder, are they even Americans? It seems like they're always out for whatever's the best deal. I'm not out for the best deal. I don't think Trump is. Trump's rich. He doesn't need to be out there. No. And the fact of the matter is, what's best for America?
That's exactly the reason why this is, well, Elon Musk wasn't elected and he don't need to be out there. Elon Musk wants America. He made money in America. He don't need to steal. He wants America to be free. And if we're free, we can have other countries. You got other countries coming in now who want to invest in America. Because they know in America, we can, we bring back manufacturing, do everything here. Made in America. If it's made in America, it's made right. Well, it's got the best materials.
He's got like $3 trillion of investments coming towards America. It's going to take, the American people are going to understand so much damage was done to our country. You just can't go and put somebody in office and think it's going to turn around. It takes a certain amount of time, ladies and gentlemen, to draw blueprints, to build the factories.
Yes.
It takes a certain amount of time to rebuild our agricultural industry, especially since China is one of the biggest investors now in our agricultural land.
Yes.
Which some states are getting, so now they're making them return the land. Do you want a foreign power that controls 1/3 of your energy? They control about 1/3 of our electrical grid. Do you want an enemy? Do you want an enemy that controls hundreds of thousands of acres growing? They control the hog industry.
Yes.
They're trying to take over the chicken industry. Now they're trying to take over the cattle industry. What have you noticed in every industry that they're taking over? All of a sudden the livestock gets sick and it has to be destroyed. Well, when you destroy and have to purge out livestock, go look at the cost of meat. How it's gone up. Now all of a sudden we got the so-called bird flu. Does anybody know what you got to do to all those birds? Did you know that all those birds have to receive vaccines? Well, I wonder what's in those vaccines. I grew up on part of my life in the farm. Chickens everywhere. Chickens everywhere. There wasn't anybody dying. They weren't dying. There's chickens all across America. You mean to tell me all of a sudden, bird flu? How did bird flu all of a sudden? Well, if we got time, I don't know how much time we got left in this show, I can tell you a document that I read that tells you about all of this. How much time we got left there?
About halfway.
Okay, well I can get into that document. But I read a document about 30, 40 years ago. It was quite a while back. And these elites weren't called elites back then, they were called by another name. This document spelled out in detail. I've just been very lucky to meet people who knew things. I just am not allowed to make copies. Because you see, I can tell you, they don't care if I tell you anything, just as long as I can't prove it. So, let me tell you what the document said on how they were going to take over the United States. It was very detailed. First of all, you got to take over the educational system. Because you've got to start young with reprogramming this up here.
Exactly. That's what they're doing.
They started that in earnest in the fall of 1963. I can tell you when it started. I know, I was there, talked with the people from the government. I was a young man who just happened to be in the right place at the right time for the right reasons. Wasn't planned by me. Got to talk with the ones from the federal government on what, and they said, they gave the date when it was going to start. That had been September of 1963. Go look in your calendar and start seeing back when things started. You can see the graph.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I remember when Nikita Khrushchev came to the UN, took his shoe off and hit it on the podium. He said, "We will bury your children." I believe within my heart it started around that time, 1955. Why in the world did we allow, after World War II, a lot of the communists came to America?
Yep.
Those doctors, those engineers and whatnot.
You're talking
came,
about Germans. You're talking about the Germans or the communists?
Well, they were Germans. A lot of them that came into America.
Right.
They were scientists. They were those in the area of education, and they corrupted the educational system by their doctrines. And people have to realize and understand that we had communism because they were talking about it a lot on TV at that time.
At that time. Better red than dead. Remember that statement?
I remember that. That's the reason why you and I know a lot about what went on during that time, because we're in our 80s. Yeah. And so therefore, we know a lot of the history of this country and how things began. And people like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, because I met him too, when they got together, they realized they was doing the same thing. They wanted the same thing. So they had to get rid of both of them.
So anyhow, when I read this document, you got to re-educate, we don't have time to go through every little step in the educational system, how they were going to do that. But we've lived it, we've seen it, how they've done it.
Yes.
And how it would be corrupted right up through the university system. And the university system is mostly corrupted with money. Now, when you see where the money comes from, you'd be surprised how much comes from overseas. Okay? So how it's corrupted. Okay, so we don't have all the time here on the show, but they were going to do that. Now, that when you corrupt the educational system like that, you're now training these children, these people. They are the up-and-coming leaders later in industry, in banking, in all of that.
Yes.
You see. So I was in an industry where I saw the attitude within that system, which was a money system, how it changed over the years.
Yes.
As the newer people came on reflecting that, you see. And then the other thing was too is how to slowly, with money, take over the different agencies within the government. Okay, so as to take the government as a whole and slowly turn it and turn it and turn it, and how you could slowly funnel money into the electoral process to get who you want. And one of the very, 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 very important things that you had to do, you had to get activist judges in there. Because it's almost impossible to get a judge out of that position.
That's true.
I mean, you can get them out, but the process is almost impossible. Have we not seen activist judges?
Yes.
And Donald Trump can tell you a whole story about activist judges. Look at the pure hell they put him through.
Right.
But he's not the only one. Look at all the parents that were going to all these county meetings about their children,
Right.
schools and things. Next thing you know, they're on the FBI list as #1 terrorist. How about all the churches?
Domestic terrorists.
How about all the churches that were considered on the FBI list? Domestic churches.
Yes.
Terrorists. In other words, what would happen is that the backbone of the country would eventually be twisted into to make it look like they're the enemy.
Right.
Now you can replace the backbone with what you want to replace it with. Now you got Black Lives Matter, which is a communist organization.
Exactly.
Going around burning down cities and things like that. And it's not just Black Lives Matter, there's all the...
Antifa.
Yeah, and all the other garbage organizations that are out there like that. And you got that. And the next thing you know is that the worst person here is the white person. The white person is this and that. That way you see that upsets the black community.
Right.
Now you got the blacks and whites warring. You see how? So, I mean, you see the whole thing.
Yeah, yes.
So that was in there. Now the other thing is, once you start, since they control the banking industry, they actually only control the Bank of International Settlements. I ain't got time to go into what that is. They only control the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund. They therefore control our Federal Reserve System, which is the system of all Western money, which is the dollar. Now you're talking about they have control in all the systems in Europe, anywhere the dollar goes. They're in control of all that. Do you think they can buy political power in all these countries? Sure they do. They funnel money in through people like George Soros and Bloomberg and all things like that going in. You don't think they do? How can a congressman go in there at $178,000 a year, I think,
Become a millionaire.
And like one I'm thinking of, when she retired, she was worth like $200 or $300 million. How do you do that? And the American people can't see this corruption? They can't see it. They got to be
right there.
They got to be blind. It's right in their face. And I can go on and on what they did to the military, and what they did. You just go right down the list.
Right.
But the whole thing is about divide and control.
Yeah.
And how to divide and control, and why they want to divide the country the way they did and control it to bring about their purposes. And this is what the article said: they want to bring about their purposes for world control. These people actually want to control the world.
Right.
They got a problem with that, as you've seen. One of the things that they were going to use to control the world was through sickness. They were going to cause worldwide sickness. Oh man, but now we got a pandemic. That was in their thing. How they would cause pandemic. Well, then that would cause you to have shots. Well, who controls the pharmaceutical? With the shots, the vaccines. Now, how are the vaccines? We just talked about one, that it changes your DNA.
Right.
Well, that's called transhumanism. Well, what are they transforming you from? They transform you from a human into what? Well, that was in the article.
Yes.
That was in the document that I was reading. Let me show you that they drew a picture of what they wanted to change the average human into, to make it look. This is what, I'm going to stand up, and I want the camera to see what they think of the average person out here. I want them to see this. This is actually in there. I got it buttoned up. I got to shrink up like this. Oh, you told me to jump? How high do you want me to jump? You would be a slave like this. that you would be, in other words, a drone. When your life uselessness was used up with them, just discard you like you would any piece of machinery and come up with another one. That was in there. That's what they think of human life, these people.
Is that the reason why AI is being perfected to the extent to take over human beings?
Well, that technology very easily could be used that way, but just think, that's what is in there. They could use the vaccines to put in there to change your DNA. They've already said some of these vaccines, that's what they do. They say it's already been proven. So to force you to do that and eventually reduce the population down to between 700 and 1 billion people in the world. Well, the population is now 7.5 billion. Well, they're talking about they want to destroy 6.5 billion people in the world. And so you got this small group at the top that's going to engineer all this stuff. If you poison the food, now they're not eating the poisonous food. Don't you think they're eating the food that we're eating? Oh no. We're paying for all their food. They got farms that's growing perfect food. They got cattle that's perfect cattle. They want us to eat bugs. Not them. They're eating the top of the best that there is. We're the ones eating the junk. Well, what's happening? We're getting poisoned. We're dying early. They're living longer. They're taking over. And what's left of the human race will be their slaves in their design paradise. That's their dream.
We're going to go on. We're going to start with part 3, because one of the things that we need to confirm is what's going on in America and in the world today. We want to continue that. And next time that you will be on our program, Mike, we want you to come back and finish this, okay? Because it's too important that Americans don't know really what's going on in our government. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching our program. We want you to come back and see us next time on Stars and Stripes. I want to say God bless you and have a pleasant day.
I trust you enjoyed today's program. Please contact your congressman and let him know you are displeased with our Constitution being butchered. Remember to pray for America. Be strong and of good cheer. Remember, America is worth fighting and dying for, as is Jesus our Lord. Until next time, this is Kenneth T. Jones saying, so long, friends.